Watch history.
It's been an emotional free agency. The aftershocks are still being felt after Kawhi Leonard and Paul George teamed up to go to the Clippers. Now all attention focuses on Russell Westbrook and where he will land, since it appears that OKC is rebuilding. According to our Adrian Wojnarowski, Westbrook is open to a Miami Heat trade, ending his 11-year tenure in OKC. For more on this, we welcome in Brian Windhorst. So, Wendy, let's talk about this. What logistical hurdles remain for OKC as they try to trade their former MVP in Russell Westbrook?
Yeah, Carrie, this is such a difficult situation. The Miami Heat are hard capped, which means they can't take on any money in a trade. But the Thunder have let anybody know who's called them about Westbrook that they want to get off of money in this trade and get out of the luxury tax, which I can't blame them for. They're rebuilding. Why would they pay tax? So putting these two teams together is difficult. A third team could come in to take some money, but then it comes down to who compensates the third team. Does the Heat send assets or do the Thunder send assets? Now, I will say this. The Houston Rockets are trying to get in on this. They're trying to get in and possibly do a three-team trade where they could get their hands on Russell Westbrook. But again, three-team trades are pretty difficult. But I do think ultimately there's a good chance Westbrook could be a member of the Heat, but it's complicated and it's going to take some time.
It's complicated. It's going to take some time. Quickly, Brian, as a follow, do we know if Westbrook has a particular destination he would like to land?
Well, from what I understand, he's supplied a list to the Thunder with a few teams on it, a short list, but the Heat are at the top of it.
All right. Elsewhere in the NBA news, Kawhi Leonard has signed a shorter contract than initially anticipated, agreeing to a 3-year deal that includes a player option for the 2021-22 season. What does this mean for his future and the future of the league, if you will?
Yeah, so this, Carrie, look, I give Kawhi credit. This was a masterful power play to the nth degree, not only forcing the trade with Paul George, but also, getting the Clippers to essentially agree to sacrifice all that for only 2 guaranteed years. And Kerry, let's look at the 2021 free agent class because Kawhi Leonard just potentially joined it. It is loaded. It is now the next free agency class we're going to keep an eye on next year, much shallower. Paul George is going to join that class, and also Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he doesn't extend with the Bucks, could be in that class. That is why you see teams like the Knicks only signing players to 2-year contracts. So count down to 2021, Carrie.
You just said that Kawhi made a powerful move. It's always the quiet ones you got to be careful of, Brian. That's what they say anyway. Meanwhile, Kawhi could once again headline a loaded free agency class in 2 years, as you just mentioned. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us here on Coast to Coast, my friend.
David Ortiz underwent a third surgery earlier this week for complications resulting from a gunshot wound that took place on June the 9th in the Dominican Republic. According to his wife, Tiffany, he's recovering well and in good spirits. All right, still ahead on Coast to Coast. With so many college quarterbacks on the move, which transfer will have the biggest impact? Paul Feinbaum, he's in the house. Plus, a high school football coach shows us why that belief and hard work can pay off. Rob Mendez and his incredible message at the ESPYs coming up in just a short bit. On the phone now, Adam. Melvin Gordon clearly confident in his abilities, which is why he wants to get paid. How close are they?
Well, in the bill, they're not close at all, which is why he chose today to come out and make that statement that unless there is a new contract before training camp opens in about 10 days, he will not show up then, nor will he show up at all this season until he has a new deal. And if he doesn't have a new deal, then he would like to be traded if the Chargers are not prepared to give him one. Now, the two sides have had talks, but they are not close at this point in time, so much so that, again, he felt compelled to come out and make this statement. And this leads to a very tricky situation in which each side is going to make its case before training camp. The Chargers feel like they've made a fair offer. Melvin Gordon feels like he should be paid amongst the top running backs in the game, right in the category of David Johnson and Todd Gurley, running backs who were awarded before their contract is up. And as it is right now, he's just not going to show up when he's scheduled to make $5.6 million. And if he doesn't show up, that means that Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson would move into a primary role in a Chargers backfield with a team that is poised to compete for a AFC West title and a deep run into the playoffs.
It is interesting because in the last 3 seasons, his 38 touchdowns ranking second in the NFL, only behind Todd Gurley, meaning so much to this squad. We'll see how this all plays out. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Bill.
My favorite is here. Paul Feinbaum, ladies and gentlemen. Drum roll, please, or maybe we'll save that for later. Joining us here on Coast to Coast, Paul, 45 days away from the 2019 college football season. I got to start with Alabama and Clemson, as we gave everyone a prelude, if you will. Which team, in your opinion, really does have a better chance of derailing yet another championship game between these two powerhouses?
Well, they've met 3 of the last 4, and they've met 4 straight in the playoffs. Kerry, I think it's Georgia, and that's a predictable prediction, but to me, Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson are in a class of their own. Those are the 3 best teams in the country. I've had some experts argue that Georgia's talent, per se, might be better than Alabama's, certainly not at quarterback. But I think overall their offensive line is fantastic. They're missing some components at wide receiver because of attrition and suspensions. But overall, this is Kirby Smart's best team.
Okay, well, Georgia, predictable but fair, Paul. Also, one of the biggest storylines from this offseason has been the bevy of high-profile quarterbacks on the move. We have to talk about that for just a moment. Talk to me about which one of them do you think will have the biggest impact?
Well, this may be sentimental because you can't help but like this young man, but Jalen Hurts has left Alabama. He led them to a national championship game, and then he lost his starting job to Tua Tagovailoa. He's at Oklahoma, and he has a shot at leading them to the playoffs again. Now, can he be Lincoln Riley's 3rd straight Heisman Trophy winner? If it's close, I'm voting for Jalen Hurts. So I think that is the one I would keep my eye on the most.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for him, too. I mean, there's something about him. But he is, and while I guess that we've been talking about him for a while, there's also some under-the-radar candidates as well for the Heisman. Talk to me about who you think that'll be.
So for an under-the-radar, Kerry, I know you. I'm not going to come up with somebody that you've heard of a lot.